Hi, I'm Jenna.
And I'm Kelley, and this is the Rebuild the Construction Mindset podcast, where we focus on embracing new ideas and methods with enthusiasm and excitement in the construction industry.
Our goal is to bridge the gap between all professions that touch the industry and create a platform for different perspectives. From suppliers to end users, we want all voices to be heard.
Welcome! Today is episode 1 of the podcast. Thank you for coming. I'm Kelley.
And I'm Jenna.
Sweet!
That was good.
As you can tell, we're real good professionals at this. Today, we're just going to talk about who we are, where we came from, how we got to the construction industry. That sounds about it.
Yeah. Well, I guess a little bit about me.
Go ahead, Jenna.
So I've been in the industry for about 5 years. Started out graduating from CSU, Colorado State University, with my degree in construction management. And I'm the first person from my family to ever be in construction. I didn't have any kind of, my dad's not in construction. My grandpa doesn't own a company. So
that's unusual.
Yeah, it was a little different for when I told my dad this is what I was doing. He was a little like, what? Okay. But mostly the reason I ended up in it was because I had originally wanted to be an interior designer. And so I went to school for interior design, and then I realized that I love the industry. I just didn't love the design side per se. Personally, I realized how much I liked what management side meant. And I felt like I worked at Starbucks for like 6 years, and I was a supervisor. So I already kind of had management experience. And so I just thought it was such a cool industry. And that's kind of how I started out.
Okay, so what gave you the idea construction management was a career that was interesting? Was it in college, when you started college and you were going through interior design, that then led you to, hey, there's this other degree, construction management, that I would be interested in?
I didn't ever think, I guess I never even knew that. It makes sense. You need managers to make sure a project, goes through till the end, but I never understood how that actually worked. And so when I had realized it was even a degree that I could pursue, I started talking to a lot of the professors and kind of picking their brain on what they thought my career path would be. And everyone kept telling me, oh, it's a great career path. Like, you're going to make a lot of money and you're going to do, So that was kind of why I originally did it, was because it was lucrative. It was, steady. But my true passion came when I actually started in the program, and I became super involved, and I was involved in something called CM Cares, where I was a part of a project where we built a bathroom for a family that, had needs and things like that, and just kind of seeing the impact that construction can have on someone. And that's kind of where my passion started to come into play. So that was my first real experience of seeing, okay, this is what I can actually do in construction. And I also loved it, the fact that you need physical labor to build a building. It's something that we will never ever see a 100% robots doing. And that alone, I think just having the personal touch on every single project is also really, really cool. What about you? Where did you start out?
Let's see. Unlike you, I had it around my life since the day I was born. My mom was a building inspector for the city of Palm Springs, California. So I have been around some form of construction since the day I was born. My mom did roofing in the summertime with my grandpa down in San Diego, and the city of Palm Springs was looking for a temporary roofing inspector. And she joined that, and 31 years later, she retired from it. So I kind of grew up on that side. Mm-hmm. I then, in high school, we had a really good internship kind of program in high school, where our high school would find local companies that you could go intern with in high school. So you're doing it before you ever get to college to kind of really see if this is a industry you want to be in. I got to work for a construction company that was redoing the Palm Springs airport. And I was just a site secretary, nothing crazy, but I liked being out on site. At that point, I thought I wanted to be an architect. And the summer before, I got to intern with a architect that we knew really well, and realized I liked being on site more. Barely saw the architect. I liked being out there seeing the day-to-day things happen. So when college applications started coming along, we looked in construction management. And that is because my boss, that was the project manager on the airport job, he got a degree in construction management. So that's how I even figured out that that was a degree. So it kind of led me to that path. Ended up graduating from Chico State in Northern California with a degree in construction management. And that was May of 2005. So we're like 18 years. So I've been officially in the industry 18 years.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Huh.
So we got a good mix. We got 18 years and you're 5 years. So just because we're not at the same, I think that adds a level of different perspective
Right.
for the two of us. You're coming in, I've been in it. So I think just our own conversations, you know, I have some of my own like frustrations with the industry that I've had for a long time. You're still learning and getting perspective of some of that. So it's interesting to have your viewpoint of newer in, and then mine as like a little jaded.
Yeah. Well, it's funny that you say that, because I remember when I initially, started my first, whatever it was, I was involved in the industry, whether it been, I think it might have been one of my first times being in a club. Well, like a
party club?
like a student club, also a party club, but yes. And I was the president of the Women in Construction, and so I was at some event, and I was talking to some industry member. I can't remember who it was, but I was kind of passionately describing why I ended up in construction, and the first thing he said to me was, "Do not lose that passion." He said, "You go in for a reason, and 5 to 7 years, 10 years, 18 years down the line, you forget that reason." And, that's kind of, I guess, going back to some of the reasons that I'm, wanting to do this is because I love the industry, and I am so fresh that I personally want to hold on to this, but I also want to encourage other people to hold on to their passion and their, and even help the people that have been in the industry for so long that are a little jaded realize why they came in the industry to begin with, and that this isn't just a job. This is a career. This is a passion of people's. This is, we're all kind of doing something for an end goal, right? Everyone has the same end goal. But I think just trying to help everyone realize what that is again.
I don't know if I ever had passion in construction. Just thinking about it, because you said that you found a passion with it, and that's one of, you didn't grow up, as you said, around it, or I did. Feel like it was there, and it made sense for me. When I first wanted to be an architect, I wanted to draw something, build something, and I realized I don't have this design mind. It took me a couple of years to realize that, but my mom actually knew that I didn't have it. But when I realized construction management, the people fit me better. I liked being out on the job site, the industry, the people I was surrounding myself with in college made me excited about it. I felt like those were the right people for me to be with. And so that's what led me there. But I don't think I've had a passion to be, I want to work in the construction industry. I think that passion came, where we're going to go. That passion came probably 12, 13 years after I started in the industry, which I would say we're going to go into that in more of the next episode of our whys. But I didn't have that passion from the beginning. So that's very interesting that you're starting with it. And that's where, and you didn't grow up around it. So that just is interesting to me. Yeah. And it makes me go, I don't think I ever had that.
Yeah. I almost wonder too if it depends on where you went to school, who you were around, who was your influence too, because I think at CSU there's a lot of like camaraderie around it, and they kind of build, if you're involved and if you're super involved, it's hard not to be passionate. And it's not necessarily, I think, about the construction processes as it is about the people. going back to that and the type of people that are in it. And, everyone is just very, they want you to be successful. And I feel that very intensely in our industry. Like, I don't think there's a lot of competition other than, obviously like friendly competition against companies and things like that. But I mean, when it comes to actual people, I feel like everyone's pretty there's a lot of cheerleaders behind you.
I think I felt different starting. I definitely felt it was a competition, and maybe that's just how I took it.
Mm-hmm.
It was a competition in college.
Mm.
I wanted to be the best, not only the best in the class, but the best female in the class. We had a small female group. So my graduating class was about 100 for the construction management program. And I'd have to go back. It was definitely less than 10 of us were women. And so my brain was, I had to be better than all the guys and had to be better than the girls. So maybe it was my own competition that I created.
Mm-hmm.
I think some of the other women, girls, maybe had that same perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're coming in going, this is a male dominated field, we have to prove ourselves. I think I definitely took that. So even coming into my first jobs, I think I made sure that I was doing things the best way possible. That perfectionism came in. So I know for me, I created competition for myself.
Yeah. I wonder if that was the difference in like the time frame. I'm wondering if it's evolved since then, until, because I know like now there's a lot of mentorship programs that a lot of, companies offer, a lot of programs offer that haven't been offered previously. That maybe it's kind of more of like because the fact that we are trying to get more diversity.
Maybe. And I went to a subcontractor.
Right.
Which you're going to inherently, I feel like, find less women
mm-hmm.
in the subcontractor world than you are going to find in the general contractor world,
mm-hmm.
which colleges push the general contractor world. I think that's where most kids are being pushed.
Yes.
So I think that could have also been a difference. You and I both went to the sub world.
Mm-hmm.
Now, both of our sub worlds are different skills. And I think yours probably has, again, more inherent to have women.
True.
Mine probably doesn't. So I think that also takes into account.
Mm-hmm.
Because I definitely see more women on the GC side.
Yeah, I agree. But I think that's also just, you see more construction management students on the GC side too.
True.
I feel like the sub side is you definitely get a lot more diversity in terms of degrees and experiences than you do, from a general contractor.
Well, and also now you're not getting just construction management, you're getting civil engineering.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of that engineering is starting to come into the construction industry as in GCs, I
mm-hmm.
guess. So you do see some women coming from there also, I would say. But I think I've just always been, and this may be just from my growing up, doesn't matter if I'm a woman or if I'm the only woman, I guess, in the room. I just need to make sure I'm the best. And I've definitely changed that. And that may be why it wasn't passion initially. It was more or less, I want to be the best and I'm going to be the best at this. And then I found the passion because of working in the industry.
Right.
And finding my way now after spending years kind of in and out of everything.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I do love building crazy things. That's the fun part, is building crazy things.
Yeah.
Building things that you can drive down the street and go, I did that. Even though when you think of it, it may be heartache the whole time thinking about it.
Right.
But you get to say, I built that, right? That is definitely a fun part. I got to do something with it. Even jobs I only spent 2 weeks doing something for. I know I did something for it for 2 weeks, and that makes me proud.
Yeah.
So there's definitely pride in what I do, and I have fun doing it. The passion came later, though. So I think it was just me trying to be perfectionist and the best and trying to prove myself. Maybe prove to myself that I can do it. That could have also been a thing. So that's just interesting. The difference in, I grew up around it, but I didn't have the passion for it. And you didn't grow up around it, and you came in with the passion. When I think we had, in college, we had it's a fraternity, but it's like you got the best grades fraternity.
Like the the society or whatever the heck that
Yeah,
is called.
it's like a society. I have a little thing from it at home, but
Yeah.
we did that, and we had other things that we as a group did, but I don't think there wasn't a tightness around it that everybody is super passionate about construction, and that's what we're going into.
Yeah. Well, and I also wonder if part of my passion comes from the fact that my first project ever as a professional was an integrated project delivery method.
Where we met.
What? And I think that, definitely had to do with it, because I came in with, the mindset that everyone kind of works together, and this is like, it was literally the best experience you could have on a project. And that's kind of where I initially thought, oh, this is kind of what it's like.
I totally forgot that was your first project.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember we were all sitting around and we were talking about our experiences or how long we've been with the company, because we're adding up all of their years, how long we've been in the industry. We're adding up all the years together to see what our total experience was in the room. And I think I maybe contributed 6 months.
6 months is 6 months.
Yeah.
That's where we met.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy thing.
What does your dad, because you said he was like, what, when you went to this degree, what does he think of it now after 5-ish years?
So my dad is he's in the tech world, but he actually is super passionate about construction as well. Weirdly enough, I didn't really realize it until so he flips houses on the side.
Oh, okay.
And he does a lot of the work himself. So he was actually he went to school for electrical engineering originally, and ended up kind of going a completely different route. But he still uses like all of his knowledge and stuff he had. He will literally never hire an electrician to wire any of his houses or, anything like that. So he's very passionate about the physical labor portion of it. He's also trying to manage a lot of it himself. And so they'll hire subcontractors to come, and they full blown like gut and flip these houses. So he'll call myself and Tyler a lot. Tyler's my husband, and he's also a superintendent in the industry. So he'll call us and ask questions about stuff. And, there's a lot of stuff I'm like, Dad, you could do this way easier if you use these tools. But, that's kind of, I think he loves that. He loves being able to call me and I understand what he's doing, and I understand enough. And he gets so excited to like show off what he's doing, because he knows that I am passionate about it already. And so I think that's just it's kind of like, if anything, it's like tightened our relationship.
When did he start flipping houses?
I'd say about probably 6 years ago, maybe.
So around the same time you're starting in the industry, he's starting to pull in his degree that he hasn't touched in a really long time.
Yeah.
In a way.
Yeah. So, and he loves it. I mean, it's very, I think if he could do it full time, he would, but, yeah. So that was kind of, well, it's funny too, thinking way back when I was like a little girl, him and I used to watch HGTV, all these like house flipping shows, my absolute favorite show. I
don't know what's. I've watched some of them, but I don't know.
So Nicole Curtis is the girl. Nicole I literally read her book. It is the.
It's like Google.
She does the Rehab Addict.
Oh, I don't know that one.
So Nicole Curtis. So my favorite. One of the shows we watched on HGTV was called Rehab Addict by Nicole Curtis, and I read her book. She's amazing. So the reason she got into it is she kind of started. She's always had a passion too for construction, and she basically flips houses. But what she does is she flips old houses, and she tries to renovate them so that she's still keeping their character. And she reuses a lot of like the material that she had taken out, or she uses material from other projects that she's taken out. She just tries to like, keep as much of it as she possibly can to keep the character of the old house. But yeah, I think that was my first initial peak of interest in construction. without realizing it. I thought it was interior design, was my interest, without realizing it was going to be the actual management portion of it.
Same. Architect and nope, construction management.
Yeah.
Well, I'd say my mom was similar, is that we had, I don't know if you guys had it, we had a code class in college.
Oh,
So we literally had to read parts of the code book. So I would call my mom, because that's what she does. She's a building inspector. Like, the code book says and or if, which one's right? Well, and then she would repeat some of it like she's the code book. And I'd be like, you're not helping me. You're making this more difficult.
yeah.
But then as I first got into the industry, being able to talk to my mom about what was going on at work and the construction sites and stuff, it was actually very interesting to be able to converse with her about it. And there's an understanding. And even today, 18 years later, I can show her pictures of a project and there's some understanding behind what's happening there, because she understands the process to get there. So it makes it a little more rewarding to talk to her about it, because you don't have to explain every single thing.
Right.
And be like, what is rebar? You don't have to explain what rebar is, or you don't have to explain what lath is. Like, she knows that kind of stuff. And so it's really easy to have those conversations. So I think that's nice when your parents are people you can easily communicate, because then when you're excited about your job, when you get an award, when you get a promotion, they know how much work it takes to do it, because they have an understanding of the job. And so they see, I would say they feel that they're proud also. And I think there's some
Pride
between both of us.
Yeah.
My mom is proud of me. I'm proud of myself. And I know that my mom is someone who had helped me got there.
Right.
And helped me get there. So I think that's a benefit to having parents that understand it a little bit more than a completely different industry.
Yeah.
My dad is Forest Service. He was a forest firefighter his whole entire career. So he definitely asks more of the questions about what I do. And to try and dumb it down to make it sound easy for someone else to understand sometimes is hard, because it's not the same as his industry. So sometimes it's difficult.
Yeah.
So you see that I have the difference between the two parents, basically.
Right.
I don't know if you do too, but
yeah, definitely. Yeah. Well, it's funny too. It's funny you mentioned about the having pride and like being able to just talk. Cause again, like my husband's a superintendent. And so him and I will come home and we can kind of talk back and forth and understand each other's language. And I know that's kind of rare in a marriage where you both kind of are in the same industry, especially more of a male dominated industry, and being able to kind of discuss, ask each other questions, and especially coming from the general contractor world and me coming from the subcontractor world. I think we definitely have different perspectives that we can kind of help each other with, which has been honestly great. It's been really awesome just to we have a really good tight-knit group of friends that are all in the industry. And we always joke how, one day we can start our own company because we literally have one of each individual in the industry. But it's definitely like a really cool thing to have people to back you up, and they understand, what you're going through, and they're just as passionate about the industry as you are. And, it's definitely rewarding for sure.
Again, you had that like starting right out. I didn't get that. I would say I didn't find that until I moved to Colorado.
Yeah.
It's super I think if I would have stayed in California when I graduated, but I didn't want to. I lived in California my whole entire life and I wanted to move away. So that's what at least got me out of the state to Las Vegas. But I started my career in Las Vegas and then moved up to the Bay Area and then out to Colorado. And those first 10 years, I didn't really think I had a good construction industry experience in regards to the people, like what you're talking about. You have like a lot of friends around you. Most of my friends were not in the industry. Like I had some friends within the companies I worked for, but it wasn't like I had this tight construction group. I think if I would have stayed in Northern California and worked in the Bay Area right out of college, maybe, I think that would have maybe been a different situation. I just went to a state where I didn't know anybody, to a city I didn't know anybody, and I started brand new. So I don't think I had that. So that could have also created some of why my passion wasn't found for much later in my career.
Why did you stay in the industry when you didn't have that passion?
I think it was just what I was supposed to do.
It just felt right.
I really think that's just like you were told, and I'm not saying anyone told me to go do construction. I thought that was the situation where I was going to be going. It's what I wanted. I figured I wanted to do. But I think we're told for so long, you go to college, you get a job. And I don't think the passion, I never really thought about passion in my work. Like, I was prideful in my work.
Yeah.
I liked what I did. I got my work done. But it wasn't like this passion that I just love it so much that I want to keep doing it.
Yeah.
So I definitely don't think, I think it was just what you have to do. This is the world you're in. This is what you have to do. It paid well. It kept me working through the recession of 2008. I bought my first house at 25 in Las Vegas. Again, reference wasn't anywhere. Some places worse, but I think it kept me going. So there wasn't reason to find passion.
Right. Yeah, which makes sense. I mean, I think part of my passion is because of when I graduated and because of when I came into the industry. There was trailblazers like yourself that probably created the path that made it easier for me to get into the industry, without realizing that was the case until I kind of heard more of like the history. And I always heard like, oh, you're a woman in construction, like that must be so difficult for you. I'm like, no, I have never felt like a woman in construction. Does that make sense? Like,
I change it. I say I work in construction and I happen to be a woman.
Yes.
I change it. I don't personally, I do not like saying I'm a woman in construction.
Yeah.
I like it the other way.
Yeah, because regardless, like no one makes me feel like I am. Like I'll get some, funny comments here and there, but it's never been, I have never been treated differently, at least from what my experience. I guess I don't know because I'm always been a woman, but just having that, having that experience just has never been the case for me. And I don't know if it's because of the projects I've been on or because of the companies I've worked for, but I mean, it's always just been, I'm just Jenna in the industry. I'm a product manager and that's it. I don't get treated any differently than a male counterpart would.
I would say I've had a similar experience. I've had maybe one or two where I'm like, I don't know if this was a decision that this person made for whatever reason. But I did learn afterwards that person treated other individuals, didn't matter if they were male or female, the same way. But I think my mom was the only female building inspector. There was a couple other females in her department, but I kind of grew up around more men, basically. Just that's where I went after school. Right? That's the people I would work for on the summer. Those were the people I was around. So I think I already had a mentality of like, I'm just around these people. There's no difference between them and me. And then as I got into college, it was, I just want to be the best. And then when I came out into the field and out onto the job sites, it was still, I want to be the best. There was also, I want to make sure that they realize I'm not dumb. But I don't really think, no one ever treated me differently because I was a woman. And so that's why I got to the point where I just say, I work in construction, but I happen to be a woman. Yeah. I don't want to put the woman before it. Yeah. That's my opinion. I am very proud to be a woman in construction. I will support women in construction in general. I think we need more, and I think that's a topic that we can definitely dive into, and some of the pros and cons of of what we can bring to the industry and why we need more women out on the job sites.
Yeah.
I think both of us have had women on our job sites, and there are some pros to the women being out there,
Absolutely,
being the labor and also in the management area. So we definitely need it. It's an area that we need to find a way to get more women into. But I think there's also the men have changed. And not everyone.
That's what I was going to say, actually, is I think there are a lot of women who have had the experiences, the negative experiences. But I think part of it is that we have not really been surrounded by those type of men. And so we've gotten the other side where they've already kind of, they're the supporters of having women in construction. So that's kind of where it comes to play, is that they already know that they want us there, versus like I think earlier on when women were just coming into the industry, they had a little, way rougher than we
I could probably get my mom on, and she could probably tell us some
Yeah.
stuff. She will be turning,
especially being an inspector.
right. Yeah, they made the joke. I went to the dark side because I went to the construction, the managing side, not the inspector side. But that would be somebody bringing in some of those individuals. I mean, she started in like 1980 in the construction industry, and before that, she was in the Forest Service. That's how her and my dad met. So she's been around more male-dominated fields for most of her adult career. So it'd be very interesting to see her different perspective compared to mine, and then compared to yours. Even a roughly 10-year difference.
Right.
What's the difference between your career and my career in our experiences with men out there?
Not only that, but like, what's the difference between even my experience and a new grad that's coming out right now?
True.
It's evolved even more over the past 5 years. I wonder if any of these women, and I don't know the statistics, but I feel like just from being the president of the Women in Construction club and seeing the way that that's progressed from when I was president to now, I mean, these girls are kicking ass. I can say that. They're like,
We can say ass.
they're killing it though. I mean, just seeing kind of how far they've come, just the amount of determination. I mean, they've gone so far even over the past 5 years, and it's just going to continue to grow. Well, I think that's a good stopping point for this episode. Thank you for listening to Kelley and I talk about our background and kind of how we ended up in construction. Please stay tuned for episode 2, where we will be going a little deeper into our whys, why we decided to start this podcast, and kind of what we see for the future for it. And please subscribe to our LinkedIn page, as well as following all of the platforms once we post these episodes. Thank you.